not crediting the people who did that is petty and ridiculous.
Which is why it makes no sense, because I would maybe understand a bit more if it was an actual remake from the ground up where none of the original content was used, but 95% of it would probably be you guys?
Well, I mean, I don't know about 95% or whatever, but like, I mean, I would say that, like, you know, ironically, my code was probably the code that was the most removed from the project because I did a lot of the low level engine and GameCube specific stuff. But, you know, let's take, you know, all the design, scripting, AI code, UI code, even like almost all that code is wholesale exactly as it was. Then you have all the artwork, which is ultimately artwork that is based on original artwork by the original artists on the game. Like, this isn't a thing where they built art just on concepts alone or just on designs alone. They built it based on their own thoughts. I mean, you know, like you look at in Talon Overworld, right near the beginning of the game, that large vertical tunnel where you have the X-ray visor things at the top. You know, that like cool wooded bridge, you know what I'm talking about? It's a bridge that looks like a giant tree branches that are kind of intermingling going across.
Oh, yes.
That,
yep.
Yeah. And then I'm reasonably sure that's the exact same one as in Phendrana Drifts that's frozen over. But, you know, that's a piece of art that even if it was remade, was made from the artist's mind that built that bridge. Not the concept artist, not necessarily the designer, but the person who actually made that the first time in the remastered version is largely getting it traced over, you know? And so why is that original artist not credited? You know, it sort of goes pretty deep. And so, I mean, even if the credits were like when you beat the game in the extras, it unlocked original staff credits. I get that. But, you know, the way Nintendo appears to be doing credits right now, because I looked and it's intentionally called staff credits, which means that they're basically just trying to put the names of the people that were in the seats at the time that the game was made. But just because you call it staff credits doesn't mean that it's credits. And there are very many people at Nintendo of America and Nintendo of Japan that had nothing to do with the game that are listed in the staff credits. Not to mention the fact that, Skyward Sword begins their credits with the original development staff credits.
Yeah.
So likely because the majority of those employees are still employed at Nintendo. And so that would be why that would happen. Or their producer just actually stood up for their team. One or the other.
Yeah. And I suppose the other thing is you've got people on the original team that are no longer with us, right? So Mark Haig Hutchinson and Andy O'Neill, they can't even defend themselves. And they were major important parts of the original game, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, you introduced me as technical lead, and but really Andy and I were co-technical leads.
Yeah.
On the Metroid Prime game. He was vitally important to the game, as was HH, as were a huge host of other people whose work is directly represented, not, you know, directly represented in the game, and a host of people whose work is indirectly represented in the game. Now, I will say that, like, Clark Wen actually was the original sound designer on Metroid Prime. And he was brought back in to work on Remastered.
Yeah, he was credited. He was a contractor, I think. Yeah,
he was a contractor, but he was brought back in to work on it. And so it's clear to me that a lot of people on the staff really actually do care about the legacy and care about the people on it. And so it's sort of unfortunate that that at the top decisions got made in that way. But yeah.
How long would that take to patch? I mean, that would be what, a 5-minute job or something, wouldn't it? Would you just transfer stuff from a spreadsheet or Excel spreadsheet or something and then put it in?
I mean, it's more than a 5-minute job, but I mean, it's it's inconsequential. And again, like I said, like even if they did it where they just made a separate screen in the extras menu that was an unlock after you beat the game, much like the other unlocks they have when you beat the game, that was just original staff credits. Play the same movie, the same looping movie that plays behind the credits for the full game, and then just put the full staff credits from the original. Boom.
Yeah.
It's that simple.